Hey y'all, Jeff here with Jeff's Cars and Garage. Welcome back to another video. And as you see, my backdrop is changing a little bit. Remember I had a toolbox sitting right here and it was stacked way up. I've given myself a little bit more room, and I should have done this a long time ago before I brought this car in to work on it, because I could have brought it in at an angle and had a little bit more space to work around it. But you know, it is what it is. And I guess a lot of it was the way this garage is set up. At one point in time, a full size, my Ram pickup would go, I have to touch the end and I could barely get it in. I have to take the trailer hitch, the stinger off the back in order to get the door down. So now I've got my F-150. I can't even get it in on the height because it's a little too tall to fit in here. So this is really going to be the garage for cars. So more to come, and you'll see some changes as things go, progress, as I continue to work on my reorganization and maybe become organized. So hopefully this will look a little better, and maybe someday I can put a little concrete down on the floor, but then I still have to move some things. But so, folks, I follow a lot of YouTubers, and I've mentioned this before, where most of them I follow are car folks, and a good portion of them are from just south of here in Kansas and in Oklahoma, and Euro-Asian Bob and Hoovie's Garage and April's Garage and Car Ninja and the CarWizard and Randy at Auto Auction Rebuilds, and of course one of my favorites is Monkey Wrench Mike, because he's in my age group and he's likes Mercedes-Benz as well, and so my channel is a little different from all of them. I don't have all the fancy garage. Well, neither does Monkey Wrench Mike, but a lot of those guys, they they have their niche. Well, I'm a little more similar to kind of Euro-Asian Bob, except for the fact that he has a car dealership and he retails cars. I buy them and I try and bring them back to life. A little bit more like vice grip garage kind of thing. I mean, I'm not an expert by no means, and everything I do is kind of by trial and error. But with that said, I also follow some other YouTube channels, and part of it is my former career before the industry that I'm now in the telecommunication industry. I was in the RV industry, and I was in that industry for, I don't know, 12, 14, 15, 16 years, 15 years, something of that nature. And I was at the manufacturer level as well as at the dealer level. I started in manufacturing, and then I was with one motorhome company, and then went to a travel trailer company, and then went to another travel trailer company. And so I've had experience in both the the midline motorized, and then the lower medium priced towable, as well as the upper priced towables. In fact, both the manufacturers that I was with they're no longer in business. I mean, times got tough, and of course if you don't make sales, you're not staying open. But and there was other things that took place. Wasn't my job. I was in the service and warranty part of it, and my job was to obviously manage the warranty claims and so on and so forth from the dealers, as well as advise the manufacturing side of the plant, where we may have some chronic issues, and hopefully get those corrected. So, with that said, there is an RV channel out there that I do follow and I do watch, and that's Liz Amazing, and she does a pretty good job of advocating for the consumer, and that's really what her channel is all about. It's the consumer buying an RV, regardless of what the price is or the kind of RV it is, and she's out there to hold manufacturers liable for any service or warranty work. Well, in my day, 35 years ago, when I was in that industry, 25 to 35 years ago, whenever it was in that time period. One of the things that RVers back then, we always knew we had to take we had to take our own tools. We always packed in tools, because if we didn't know how to work on our RV, it wasn't going to get done, because the dealer networks back then, 35 years ago, were not as large as they are today. In fact, Camping World I don't even think Camping World was even thought of back then. So you had small dealerships, mom and pop dealerships, in a lot of states, and I'm talking for the Midwest. I mean, I remember, the dealers that I worked with, they sold maybe 75 to 150 units a year. Well, now you've got, Camping World and you've got Lazy Days that their goal is to sell, 35 to 40 units a month. Well, that kind of volume, is, the RV manufacturers in Indiana, which is where most of them are made, they got to crank them out. And they got to get them to the dealerships as quickly as they can, because the consumer is buying them. Well, the problem is my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, is that I think some of these manufacturers have forgotten what customer service and quality is all about, because it's just a matter of getting that number down the line and get it out the door. Well, some of which is the consumer is driving that because, well, they don't want to pay. I remember the days back, when I was at the dealership level. If I could put a travel trailer, a little 22 or 24 foot travel trailer out there for $99.95, man, that was a good deal. Now, you're looking at a small travel trailer at $17,995 to $22,995, and the consumer is demanding that thing have more stuff, just like our cars. Just like if you go, the average price of a car today, I heard someplace, is $40,000 for the average price of a car. Do you know that nets almost $1,000 a month in a payment, depending on how much you put down? That's insane. I mean, when the average price of a car not too long ago was about $27,000, $28,000, and that's for a respectable car. And God forbid, trying to buy a pickup today, you're going to spend $100,000 on. So I'm ranting, but here's the part that gets to me. Is today our buyer, especially since COVID, our buyer has changed. And one of the things that's changed about the buyer is, it's an on-demand kind of thing. And there's a fairly recent video from on Liz Amazing's channel about this person purchased an RV and had a job to do in some Northwest state, and purchased the RV, loaded it up. I don't know how long it took, but I'm just kind of summarizing, and took off, and was making the trip of, several thousand miles, a couple, 2,000-3,000 miles, regardless, and without doing a shakedown cruise. Now, when I was 35 years ago, when I was in the industry as a national service and warranty manager, one of the things that that I recommended to anybody buying a new RV was that you always do a shakedown cruise. Go to, stay the night or two at a campground. Excuse me. Stay the night at a campground close to the dealership, so that You have your checklist. If anything goes wrong, you can immediately go back to the dealership, for, for that service and warranty work before you go on a 500,000 mile trip, much less a 2 or 3,000 mile trip. But no, we live in a rush society. And an RV is more of a recreational thing. Back then, it's now a necessity kind of thing, because where I live here in northeast Nebraska, there's 2 RV parks right here in this town of 1,500, 1,600 people. And people are living in them full time because they're traveling for work, much like this person did. That's on Liz Amazing's channel. Well, the problem got to be that person got to their destination, got set up, still was having problems, contacted the original selling dealer. Well, they're completely out of the selling dealer's area, and so they suggested, or somehow or another, this customer called the manufacturer, and the manufacturer put it back on the customer, said, well, you're going to need to contact a dealer in the area that you're at that sells this product line so that they can work on it. That sounds like good customer service to me, doesn't it, you? No, it doesn't. Why can't that manufacturer, because that manufacturer's got a staff of people that's what they do, is they are supposedly customer service people. Why couldn't they have just pulled up on their computer and says, oh, you're in, for example, Minot, North Dakota. Well, we've got a dealer here, and we have a dealer here, and we have a dealer here. Here's the phone numbers. Give them a call. Talk to their service department. Here is one of their service advisors, or here's their service manager. Tell them I sent you. Told you to give them a call and see what you can work out. At least that gives the customer some warm and fuzzies. That's not happening. I think about the only manufacturer that probably does that now. Well, I don't know. I really don't. And so if some of you that follow my channel are in the RV world and do RV, put your comments down below of who those manufacturers may do that. I certainly don't think Fleetwood. I know Thor doesn't. I know Forest River doesn't. Keystone, whoever, all these manufacturers, I don't believe that they do that. Well, the manufacturer that I worked with, we did that. And that was one of the things setting forth is, while the consumer has a little ownership in that and they need to get to that dealership, we as the manufacturer, at least back in my time, could give them the guidance that was needed so that they, would come back and buy that product. This person and a lot of these, if they're, customers that are being treated poorly by the manufacturers, Mr. Manufacturer, there's a lot of them out there. You probably won't get their business again, because in 2 to 3 years, a lot of people have an RV about the length of time that they have a car, especially if they're younger, they move up. It's always the tradition. You start with if you're a very young family, you start with a pop-up, then you go to a travel trailer, then you go to a big fifth wheel, then you go to, a lot of times, a motorhome, and then when you get all the way to the top, then you still got to have that and want to come back down to the smaller things. I'm at the point in my life where, I've had a motorhome. I have currently a travel trailer, which, unfortunately my wife and I don't use as much as we'd like, but, I'm still not retired. I'd still like to go in the motorized. I do prefer the motorized way of the recreational vehicle. And I thought it would be a little bit more of a pain in the butt to tow a car, but I think it's easier with a motorhome, a larger motorhome, to tow a car than it is to have a pickup and tow a travel trailer. Now, fifth wheel is a different story. That you're going to invest in a lot of money to go pick up and fifth wheel today. So it's all a matter of personal choice. But the travel trailer that my wife and I have, I like it because it's got a spacious living room. It's, smaller on the bathroom, smaller on the bedroom, and moderate on the kitchen, which is okay, because when you're camping, you spend less time sleeping, you spend more time sitting out under the awning by a campfire. At least you should be. So that's my rant on that. But the bottom line is the customer service. And the dealers representing the manufacturer. In the RV industry, are they? In the automotive industry, are they? Because remember, most of your new car dealerships, they're franchise dealerships. They're owned by somebody that pays a franchise fee and you know, has the product coming from the manufacturer, and it's up to them to sell it and service it. Like in one of my videos with my GL350, Mercedes, unfortunately, the dealership, it's not Mercedes' fault that the dealership didn't provide me good customer service. It's the dealership, and it's the conglomerate that owns the dealership. So, again, folks, it's a buyer beware out there. Do your research when you go seeking out any product that you buy. What is the best manufacturer, you know, especially if it's an RV, what is the best one for the best service, or where are you going to get service in the location that you're going to be, especially if you're going to be using the RV for a longer period of time. More people today are living in them, you know, 6 or 7 months out of the year or more than it used to be 30 years ago. So keep all those things in mind. If it's, you know, if it's an RV that you want, that you're going to live in, then you need to make sure you buy an RV that is capable of you living in that. So kind of a long drawn out video there, and I apologize for that, but there's, you know, a lot of information, and if you have some questions or concerns, put the comments down below. I will try and answer them all. I'm not critical over anybody specific, so you know, just give me some constructive criticism. If you've had some issues, please let me know. Check out Liz Amazing's channel. Some of what she's done, you know, is I think is good. However, I also believe that you know, again, our buyer has changed, or our RVer has changed over the year, and sometimes the demand is a lot more than what it used to be, and we're demanding of the product a lot more. So, thanks for watching. Have a great day. If you like what you've heard, hit the thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel. I'm always looking for content. You know, give me something to talk about, and you know, put it in the comments, and I'll do the research to get it out there. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.